Take a breath. Welcome to Space to Exhale, the podcast, weekly inspiration for self-love and soft living. I am your host, Lisa Hurley. I'm a 3-time Anthem Award winner, Reiki master, and community builder. And I'm the author of the book Space to Exhale. Through healing modalities like breathwork, affirmations, and meditations, I'll guide you on a life-changing journey to help you know yourself, love yourself, be yourself, and create much-needed space to exhale. Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Space to Exhale, the podcast, a safe, serene sanctuary where we focus on high vibrations, affirmations, soft living, and self-care. As you know, I'm your host, Lisa Hurley, and I'm the author of Space to Exhale, a handbook for curating a soft, centered, serene life. I'm here to help us all do just that. Relax, take a breath, say no to hustle culture, and yes to a life of ease. My hope and dream is for us all to curate lives that we don't feel we need a break from. And today, I'll be joined by a very special guest, Trey Anthony, my Jamaican sister. And let me just read her bio. She's absolutely amazing. So Trey Anthony is an award-winning playwright, actor, and producer, best known for her groundbreaking work, The Kink in My Hair, and her best-selling book, Black Girl in Love with Herself. One of my personal favorites, I have to say. A celebrated creative force and speaker, Trey's work unapologetically centers Black women's healing, joy, and empowerment. She is the founder of Ashidat Theater, an intimate Black box theater experience in Atlanta, dedicated to amplifying the voices of women over 40 and creating space for bold contemporary storytelling. Through her company, Big Things Inc. Big things are going, Trey. Big things are going.
Big things.
Through her company, Big Things Inc., Trey continues to redefine what's possible for women in the arts, building creative platforms, producing transformative shows, and inspiring audiences to live audaciously in faith and creativity. Whether on stage, on screen, or in her writing, Trey's mission remains clear: to tell the stories of Black women that move hearts, spark laughter, and remind women everywhere that it's never too late to dream and stand in your truth. Trey, welcome.
Yay!
You're here. We finally made it. We made it.
We made it. Finally.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Lisa. Thank you.
Of course. I'm so happy to have you. And I know this is going to be, I hope, a life-changing conversation for a lot of people. Because let me tell you, when we're talking about showing up authentic, abundant, and aligned, that can be a struggle for a lot of us. So we're going to help some people today.
Yes. Yes.
We are.
Yes.
As you know, every episode starts with an exhale, right? This is Space to Exhale. So we are going to take a moment now and exhale. We're going to say do a few deep breaths together. So, right, which we need this moment.
We need this.
Yeah. So close your eyes, shoulders down, away from your ears. Nod your head. Shake your head slightly from side to side, back and forth. And now inhale through your nose. And exhale. And again, inhale. And exhale. And one more time, inhale. And exhale. Yes. Okay, good. So I hope that you're feeling more grounded and more centered. right? Because that's all part of it.
Yeah.
And it's so important too. And that's why I start the show this way, because often, frankly, and we know this, you do this at an even much
Yeah.
higher level than I do, because you're like in real TV for real. And so you know that often there's a scramble behind the scenes.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Right. So that's why, even for something like this, it's a little scramble, but we get grounded and set the tone. And then we also do an affirmation every
Oh, I
episode.
love affirmations, as you know.
Right. I
Yes.
know. And
Yes.
so they're in your book, and they're part of what you do in your posts regularly on social media. And I really do love that. So today's affirmation is: I am a living, breathing expression of authenticity, abundance, and alignment.
Oh, yes,
Yes.
Lisa. Good one. That's a
Thank
good one,
you.
gal.
Thank
Good
you.
one.
Thank you.
Good one, gal. Good one.
Thank you, Gail. So we are going. So as we go through the episode, we're going to keep this in mind. And for those of you who are watching and listening, just hold this affirmation in your mind. I'm a living, breathing expression of authenticity, abundance, and alignment. Hold it in your mind, and let it heal you. Let it play out in your consciousness.
Love it.
So we're going to get into the show soon, but Trey, as you and I were discussing, you and I are both of Caribbean heritage.
Yes.
I was born in Jamaica. I don't know if you actually know that. I was actually born in Jamaica. Right.
Yes.
Right. So, and y'all listening, you can hear the accents, okay? Yeah. So Jamaica we come from. And as you know, at this time, Jamaica is in a rough spot with Hurricane Melissa, right? And we are, we're worried, frankly. We're worried for our country. We're worried for our people. And so we want to take a moment to offer a prayer for Jamaica's safety. And so, Trey, if you wouldn't mind, would you lead us in that prayer?
Yes, for sure.
Thank you.
I'd like to say, God, please hold the people of Jamaica in your arms. Please keep them safe. Please keep them healthy. Please let them know they are loved. And please also let them know that whatever is destroyed or taken away, we will rebuild with much pride, with much love, with much community. We are here. Please watch over them and keep them safe. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you so much. Ooh, all right. Let's take another moment to exhale from that.
Yes.
Ooh, and now let's go into the questions, because there's a lot of stuff that I want to know. There's a lot of stuff that I want to know, and I know that other people want to know as well. So today's topic is being yourself, showing up authentic, abundant, and aligned. But as you know, only too well, as a Black woman, the world tries to edit us a lot. You're a Black woman, you're creative, you're of Caribbean descent, which is another layer on top of that, right? So what does being yourself mean to you as a woman with all of those intersecting identities?
Yeah, for sure. For me, it's about always being myself and accepting and expecting that I can show up as authentically as possible. And if it's in spaces that I cannot truly be myself, then those are not spaces that I need to be in. And, and I know life, like for sure, right? I'm very blessed and very fortunate, that for many years I've been an entrepreneur. I've worked for myself, and I'm very aware of many sisters, a lot of us who are in the corporate world, right? Who have to come up, right? and edit ourselves.
Raise his hand.
Yeah, right. I'm really aware of that privilege that I have when saying that. And so what I do want to really make clear, if there are spaces where that you feel you have to edit yourself, try your best not to stay there too long, and create and be intentional about being in spaces that you can show up 100% yourself, right? And that is what I really want to express to a lot of women, because I know there is privilege in what I am saying, so, and there's just so many of us. And I think especially the further we go up the ladder, the more so I feel the editing happens, right? And the silencing happens, right? Of success, right? Quote unquote success. So I'm
Yeah.
really aware of that. Like my sister is in academia, you know, she's got her PhD doctorate, all of that. And I'm aware, my sister-in-law, also another superwoman in corporate. And I know how much that takes from each of them of being in those spaces. And for women like you, yourself, Lisa. So yeah, I just want to really be conscious of when I say that and just acknowledge the privilege in saying that.
Yeah, yeah, and thanks for acknowledging the privilege, but thank you also for, you know, conveying that there is hope, that it is possible. It is possible to chart your own path, possible to do it successfully, and that's not to say that every day is going to be smooth, but it is.
No, not at all.
No,
Not at all. Not at all.
right? Not at all.
Yes.
But there is, I find that it is easier to handle the bumps in the road when you are on your own path.
Yes. Yes.
When you're doing you, right?
When you're doing you. Yes.
When you're doing you. So, okay, you've been an entrepreneur for a long time, but this is something I don't know. Have you always been an entrepreneur, or have you ever worked in corporate?
I've always pretty much been an entrepreneur. There was one time, and that was just after I had my son and during the pandemic. I was a TV exec for a very large Canadian broadcaster in Canada. And so I knew I got a taste of it, but it wasn't as much as because we were still allowed to work from home. And even doing that stressed me out. I was just like, Lord God, like I loved seeing the paycheck. Don't get me wrong. There were times when I was like, this is nice, right? When I saw the paycheck.
Listen, the paycheck coming in every month like clockwork, and you don't have to hustle, and it's beautiful.
It was beautiful, that part. But I did it for a year. And then when my contract was up for renewal, my sister was like, I'm shocked that you even did this for a year. And then when they said that we had to come back to the office, that's when I knew my time was up. Yeah. I was like,
because you're like, that's not happening.
That is not happening. I'm not going back to any office. I've never been in an office. And this was enough for me. Like even just showing up and going to all of these meetings. And smiling when you didn't want to smile and checking how the tone of your email. It was a lot. Like it's an added stress. And and of course we all know, especially as Black women, that everything you do, especially in the corporate environment, is looked at in a different way, right? So your tone, your facial expression, everything you say and do, right, is analyzed and critiqued. And that to me was just another stress. And so I couldn't imagine going into an office and having to do that performance every day.
Daily?
Like, no. Yeah, daily.
Ooh. And it stresses you out. Listen, I know that there's data around this. I don't have it at hand, but I know there's data around why so many Black women especially have hypertension and they're suffering from stress and burnout and so on. It's not to say you can't get burned out if you don't have a corporate job, but I'm telling you, as you know, but I truly believe that having a corporate job increases the odds exponentially because you are constantly out of alignment, probably being inauthentic. And I don't mean this in a judgmental way. I mean it in the way that you describe, that you literally cannot show up as your authentic self and say, oh, show up as your authentic self. Oh, well, okay. My authentic self has an even stronger accent than this. My authentic self wears braids or dreads or whatever hairstyle of the moment they've decided is not apropos. My authentic self really wants to just wear sweatpants. Is that how you want me to show up? Because I'm happy to do that.
They ain't ready. No. They ain't ready. They're not ready.
They're not ready. The answer is no. So, the other day I came across an old, a corporate headshot of mine. Girl with a bust down. It was beautiful. I was like straight, long, below my shoulders, and I was like, bless that child, bless her, that old version of me, because that's what so many of us do is we just shave away parts of ourselves to try to fit in. And I don't think it's a winning proposition in terms of feeling healthy and fulfilled. It really is not.
Of course. I agree. I agree 100%.
And speaking of that, how do you define, because that's all about authenticity. So how do you define authenticity today? Like, This is, you know, right, you've lived, you've done some things, you've won all kinds of awards. You know, you
Yes.
have your son now. What is authenticity to you in this chapter of your life?
This chapter of my life, it's funny. I recently did a post, and it was because I was opening now a theater in the second chapter of my life.
Which is
And
called Achidat.
I see that theater. Oh, I
Yeah.
love Lisa, man. You're on it. And that's one thing about you I love. Okay.
I'm prepared, girl. I'm prepared.
You're prepared. You are prepared.
Thank
right?
you.
But I recently did a post where I said for years, being in the entertainment industry and being on TV, I lied about my age, right? For years.
Oh,
Like
yes.
for
You're
years.
supposed to have a Hollywood
Right?
age.
A Hollywood
Yeah.
age. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got that from the first time I went down to LA. I remember the first time I went down to LA, I was 27 years old, right? And when I got there, the actual agent that I was meeting with, she said, "How old are you?" And I said, 27. And she said, "No, no, 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 no. We could shave off at least 10. You don't look that."
Yes.
And she went in and changed all my Wikipedia and everything. And for years, my Wikipedia and everything else showed me as 10 years younger. Right. And so for years, I would fall into that. Every time I did an interview, I would say I was 10 years younger than I actually was. Only, a few people who knew me. And of course,
right.
people who went to high school with me were like,
Yeah.
that girl isn't that age. Right.
But you know what? It's a good thing. At least they didn't out you.
They
Right.
didn't out me. Nobody out me. But I saw people going, I don't think she's that age. But it was so freeing for me finally. And I wrote it on LinkedIn and I said, I'm at the age now where I actually want to acknowledge I'm 52 years old, right? I said, I'm 52 years old. This is my second chapter. And it was my cousin who said to me, and it really struck with me. And that's when I decided to start with this theater. When she said, at our age, because my cousin's like 6 months younger than me, she said, we actually, truth be told, we probably have more years behind us now than we have in front of us.
That is
a fact.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
That's a fact, right? And I sat with that and I said to myself, how then do I want to live this second chapter of my life? And one of them was, I was like, I want to do and create a space for women over 40 who could come and say they are now entering their creativity and embracing it fully and showing up. And this space is going to be for female playwrights, women who have never, ever been in the arts, some of them leaving corporate and want to create safe spaces and explore their artwork. And one of the things that I said, it's also for you to authentically show up and say, I'm 52 and I'm doing this. Right? I'm doing this. And this is the second chapter. And it's okay. Dreams don't die. And I think especially culturally, right? Just in society, I feel like people make us feel like as women after 40, we have nothing left to contribute. And I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it's because that's when they know we mostly then start to really question.
Yes.
I want to show up in our most authentic way. And they do that to shame us, to silence us, and give us some level of stigma around aging.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm not doing it anymore. I don't believe that about me anymore. I believe this is the best I've ever been. Right?
Yes.
And so I decided I was going to out myself and tell people my real age.
Well, good for you. And can I just say, this is the blessing of melanin because 10 years younger is still holds. I will say that. Facially, the skin is skinning, child.
Thank you. I do.
Okay.
Thank you. I come from good stock, those Jamaicans, and I've been drinking my water and minding my business.
I'm minding your business, like our girl says. Drink water and mind your business.
Mind your business. That's all I've been doing.
It never fails. It's a very, very healthy way to approach life.
Exactly. Right.
So let's talk about abundance, because that's one of the themes that we want to explore today. But and you're obviously successful in the way that the world understands. You have accolades and awards, and I'm hoping and assuming all the financial blessings in the world, right? But let's talk about abundance beyond those kind of achievements, beyond finance, like the kind of abundance that fills your heart and your mind and your spirit. What does living abundantly look like for you now?
It's funny for me, what is the biggest abundance lesson for me as an entrepreneur? And yes, people do the math. I have a 5-year-old son. Um, and yes, and I'm 52. So just do the math. But he's adopted. So I didn't have him, through my body, but he's my son. Love him dearly. And
Mm-hmm.
and Kai, my son, recently had a school trip. And I was just so honored that I have set up my life that I'm able on a random Friday to
Yeah.
say, I'm going to come and chaperone his school trip to a farm. And on this farm, it was this beautiful farm called Southern Belle Farm, and they had like a bouncy house. They had pig races. I was jumping up and down on the bouncy house with him and his friends. We were watching the pig races. And to me, because I come from a working class family.
Yeah.
I come from a mother who worked to the bone, a
Mm-hmm.
grandmother who swept trains, like for the London Transport, for a
Right.
living at night. And my mother was a single mom with 3 kids, and we barely saw her because she was always working.
Right.
And it was such a reminder to me of it's not always about the money, but it's the freedom to be able to choose that on a random Friday, I know that my whole household would not fall apart
Yes.
if I
Yes.
didn't go to work.
Yes.
And I know what it feels like from women in my family who did not have that level of privilege and that level of abundance in their life to take a day off, right?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so
It's
for
about
me,
being like, I call it being a millionaire in time, a millionaire of your time.
Exactly.
Having agency over your time.
Oh, I love that, Lisa. And that's what it is.
That's
There's
what
an
it is.
agency, and that is where the freedom comes from. It doesn't matter about the zeros in your bank account, but to have that agency to be like, I can do this, like, because he doesn't stay little forever, right?
Right.
And I want him to be like, oh, my mom actually came. My mom actually showed up. She was able to do all of these things.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's what abundance means. It means being able to sometimes, as you know, I lived in Mexico for 2 years, right? And I took 2 years off and decided to heal, to write, to really take my wellness and make that a priority. And I was able to work from wherever I wanted to work, be on the beach with my computer. And that was that, so those kind of things are abundance to me. But and I want to be really honest, there's this thing that people think, oh, because you have a TV show and you have a platform and you have all of these things, that you have like 29 zeros on every time you open your bank. Sometimes I look at my bank account and I'm just like, Jesus, this is just a prayer right now.
Right. That's why earlier I'm like, I don't want to make assumptions. This is what I hope. Yeah. But I don't, because people often, and you are way more visible than I am, right? So at my level, quote unquote, people still have this idea that somehow they see you out doing things and they think that everything you do has somehow translated to another zero in your bank account.
That part. Yeah, that part.
So you mentioned earlier, I think before we started the show that, my book is up for an award and so on. Well, yes, it is. And I am grateful that it's up for an award, right? But, and if I win, that award it's come with visibility, right? But it has not come with a check.
That part.
See, and this is what people don't understand. They don't understand when, let's say you have a TV show, maybe back in your early days, a play or a TV show or whatever. Actually think of Tyler Perry way back. He was funding all of that himself.
Yes.
So people are like, oh, he's a billionaire. He's a billionaire now.
Yes.
He was not always, and there were struggle days.
Yes. I recently posted, and I thought it was one of the best things I've ever seen in a long time. There was an interview, and they just did a clip of it with Kirk Franklin. Yeah. And Kirk Franklin was just so vulnerable about that.
Tell the people, because it was a great clip. Yeah.
It was a great clip, and I posted it on my social media where he said he would be embarrassed if people saw his bank account, because what people don't take into account is how much it costs to try.
Just to
right?
try.
Just to try. When you
Wow,
are
yes.
funding something, right? When you are funding your dream, when you are funding your career, how much that costs to just try, right? And there was another interview I saw with just Lovey, right? You did
Yes,
her,
yes, yes.
and she had talked about, and I thought it was just beautiful. She said people don't talk about how much it costs to get like a stylist, to get your hair done, to get your shoes, just to show up at an event, right?
Just to show up.
Just to show up,
Yeah.
right? Nobody takes into account how much that eats into your bank account, right? And so for me, that is one of the biggest things that, because I funded every single one of my ventures,
Yep.
I have funded myself. You know, I've taken out double mortgages just to fund stuff, you know, and I don't think people realize that. Years ago, and I finally asked my assistant to get in contact with him and take it down. You could type in Trey Anthony's net worth, and it would come up as 29 million.
What?
And the girl, I wish.
You were like, where is it? Tell me where.
And my father saw it one day and he got really upset with me. Like he was like, oh, well, you know you're worth 29 million. And I was like, I'm worth what? And that's when I actually typed it in.
Right,
and
right.
I saw where it came up. And I was like, not even close. Okay, not even close. But that's what people don't understand, that there's a cost in being in the public. And I'm sure you've seen it, Lisa, where people are like, well, you've written a book now, so you must be getting all this money from your book. Girl, you know.
Girl, listen, first of all, books. And you know, books are not in general, unless you somehow have like a, you know, out of the gates
Eat, love, and pray book. That's the only way.
Unless you have that, it is unusual for books to make a ton of money, as we would say back home, right? They're not making a lot of money. They are not profit generating. Now, you could get opportunities that come out of as a result of having published the book, but the book itself, it's not like you're there cashing checks. You're not cashing checks as a result of the book. And books, producing books, even if you are traditionally published, you were and I was. I don't know what your situation was, but my situation is you still have to pay for
back your accounts. Yeah.
Right. And so people think, oh, you have a book. Yeah, well, I invested. Listen, my life savings are gone because of this book. That's like what you were saying with, oh, you mortgaged your house and done all of that. Well, yeah. So my life savings are gone because I published a book. And you have to do things. You have to you take photographs and get a publicist and do all this stuff. You know, it costs money.
It costs money. It costs money. It costs money to just show up, you know, and people don't take that into consideration. And so it's challenging. And I think to you then, and this goes back to authenticity. Like I sometimes have to really say to people, I know you guys feel like I'm rolling in money, but I really am not, right? And for me, I talked about this in my book, Black Girl in Love with Herself, of the money shame that comes with that. Right?
Yes.
And that was something that I really had to look at in my own life, of how money shame has silenced me, or how money shame made me show up in very inauthentic ways and pretending to have it all when I didn't have it, you know, or spending, or saying, oh, it's on me, no worries, and let me throw out my credit card, damn well knowing my credit card was maxed, right? I wasn't like, I was just like,
you're there doing prayers and chants and incantations,
right? And so now I've just been like, I ain't got it. I just say, you know, I'm working on it, or I like to say my money's flowing in a different way now. That's why I like to say, I want to be positive about it. But money can really bring up a lot of shame for quote unquote successful women. And I think we don't talk about that enough in our community, about what that means of abundance for us, and how we can actually name it and say, we are spending our money, investing in ourselves, investing in our dreams, and we don't look like what we're going through. Put it that way. Right?
Exactly. We don't look like what we're going through. And oh boy, there's so much to this conversation. I actually, I saw a post you did. It was a few months ago, right? since we're on this topic, and I think it was you had a live show or something on Facebook. I don't remember the details, but I remember seeing your post. It was a video series, and you were sad and hurt
Yeah.
because people basically had not shown up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw that. It hurt me to my core on your behalf and on behalf of, because I've been trying to explain this to people, right? I think this is another side of what you're talking about, that people see you out in the public and they think, oh, she's got it, she doesn't need support, so I'm not going to bother. And I don't even know if it's a conscious thing.
That part.
Right? But I felt that because I had just been speaking to a friend of mine about that, like, I don't know, a week before, whatever. And I thought to myself, because we all have people that we look up to, and so you're somebody that I look up to, right? And I was like, oh my God, she is going through this. Like, that breaks my
right?
I was like, but you have NAACP awards, you have all these things. And I'm like, well, where are the people?
Where are the people? Where are the people? And that is the thing that I think people forget, is that we are not at the level of like the Beyoncés, right? And we're kind of in this middle, right? Like right? We're in this middle ground. Right. And I feel like people then think that you don't need the support, right? Or they don't understand the level of work that it takes to advertise a show, to promote a show, to get ready for a show, all of those things. And I'm sometimes, and when I did that post, I was so hurt. And there was a part of me that was like, don't do that. But I'm also living in my authenticity and truth. And I said, no, I'm going to post and say, I was shocked that I have nearly 40,000 followers on Instagram, Facebook, and all of that combined. And yet I think maybe 30, 40 people showed up for my live. And I was like, this was an event that I was promoting called Fine Wine Aunties. And it was about women dating over 40. And it was something that I had spent a tremendous amount of time promoting, talking about it and saying, I want to create a space for women who are single over 40 and talk about what it's like dating. And everyone was like, oh, yeah, we love it. We're going to come, blah, blah, blah. Nobody showed up. Right? Or I should say nobody.
But very few. No, it's a percentage thing. Yeah, I've had a similar, right. I've definitely had similar experiences.
Yes. And I was hurt, Lisa, because it makes you question, and I think too, and I'm sure you can relate to that, when you are creating in your life's work, for me, my life's work has always been about centering Black women, right? Yeah. It's always been, and it's not, yes, I'm there in the front, but for me, it's like, I always feel like I'm living in my purpose and God put me here to do this work and create spaces for Black women and create spaces where we can heal and where we can be vulnerable. And so when you feel you're walking in that path and you feel that that very little recognition was given or any kind of like support was given, it's hurtful. And I'm also very much an empath, right? And I'm very super sensitive. And so I recognize that.
Yes.
And it just felt like I was in tears. I would say for a good 3 or 4 days, I could not even think about, because I just felt like I put so much time and effort into this and then no one showed up, right? And so I just really, if there's anyone watching this right now and you have a friend who's in the arts or a friend who's doing something or has a platform, it takes nothing from you to share their flyer. It takes nothing from you to share their story. It takes nothing from you to order their book. It takes nothing from you to just send out a text and say, hey, my girl's doing this. Support her. We need that support. Don't think, oh, it's just little old me. Support. Yes. And I am very intentional about that at all times around making sure not that I only hire Black women, but I support Black women. I support entrepreneur Black women because I know what it takes. Yeah. And I think because we make it look easy, even just watching you today, when I saw like your promo, and it's funny, you say you admire me. Let me tell you, and I want to say this. I started following you on LinkedIn. And I was just like, this woman, like, you have it all together. It just, everything you put out is such a level of class and it looks professional and everything always looks so grand and you always look super amazing. And I saw your press kit the other day you did. And I was like, girl, I gotta talk to Lisa because I know my press kit ain't looking like that. But you just bring it to another level. And I just, as much as you say you admire me, I started following you, knew nothing about you because I just knew I admired everything that you put out was such a level of class that even today when I got dressed, I was like, girl, you better pull out your lipstick because you know Lisa go bring it. I was like, you know Lisa go bring it. You don't want to be shamed. Lisa will bring it to another level. So like, I was like, let me put on my little lipstick, dip my little eyebrows.
Right. Get it together.
Right. I was like, get it together. Because you know Lisa don't play. She go bring it to another level and you got to match it. So I just want to say, you don't know who's watching you and taking inspiration when you bring it to another level. And I know for a fact that even though you make it look flawless, I know it's hard. And I just want to just give you your flowers while you have it and say, I watch you and I see you, how you execute, and I'm proud of you, sis. That's all I got to say. Yeah, that's all I got to say.
I'm not gonna cry.
Right? And I know it's hard. I know it. And that's why people think, because you do it so well, people think it's easy.
People think it's easy.
Yeah.
People think it's easy. It is not easy. And I thank you so much for that acknowledgement. And I'm glad that we're a mutual admiration society, because that feels wonderful. It really, really does feel wonderful. And it is good to be supported and acknowledged by someone whom you admire. That makes all the difference in the world. And it makes the harder days easier. And it makes the difficulty, feel a little bit less difficult, because I'm trying to remember what it was I was doing the other day. I don't even remember, but it was, I don't know if it was like maybe, I remember. I wanted to put out a press release about being a finalist in the Anthem Awards, right? Yeah. Because you're a finalist doesn't mean that you're going to win. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll put out a press release. So in case I don't win, at least something is out there. But I had a full day of 9-to-5ing, doctor's appointments, all kinds of stuff. So when I got back home at 8:00 at night, I had to draft that press release and send it to, and that took a little while. Send it to a friend of mine. Can you proofread this? Go into the system and make sure it's scheduled. Do all that stuff. 10:30 at night, I'm now finishing. Haven't had dinner yet.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
This is the behind. But people see, she put out a press release.
She put a press release. Yeah. And Lisa's doing big things. She just
doing big things. Release, right? Meanwhile, Lisa is sitting down in her starving, hungry, in her sweatpants.
Girl.
And wrap off sweatshirt with a stain on it. Right? Because the publicity team, aka Lisa, is writing this press release.
The team. That always makes me laugh. The team. And I'm like, it's me and my assistant, right? And now I don't even have an assistant right now. So that always makes me laugh when people go, the team. I was like, where's the team? Where's the team?
You're looking at it. You're looking at the team, Oh my goodness, girl, we could talk. That itself could be its own show.
Own podcast. Its own show. Yeah.
Ooh, child. Anyway, one of the things you said that you wanted to talk about today that I was very happy about, because it aligns with something I'm interested in. So it's something I wrote in Space to Exhale. It says, may my calling seamlessly combine purpose, passion, and profit.
Yes.
And again, speaking about people whom you admire, I feel, looking in from the outside, it feels to me like you have done that, right? Yeah. With your storytelling, your producing, writing, coaching, all this stuff that you do. You're building a theater now. But my question is, how do you discern what is divinely aligned work versus what is just like random noise or hustle that is irrelevant? Like, how do you tell?
Yeah. It's about getting quiet, Lisa. I'm a big believer in you got to take time to get quiet and quiet the noise, right? Yes. And I have a very intense relationship with God, very intense, right? I sit down, I ask God what's next. I say, what am I supposed to do? And I'm always about, especially in the second half of my life, right? About how am I going to serve, right? How am I going to serve? How is this dream going to be bigger than me? And how can I make sure that I am walking in purpose of how God put me here to serve? And I believe all of us have a purpose. All of us have a calling. I think what happens is that sometimes we are listening to what society says we should be doing. We're listening to what our parents say we should be doing. We're listening to that critical voice in our head that says this is what we should be doing. And I think the only person who knows what you're supposed to be doing is God. And you got to sit down there and say, what do you want me to do next? Even with this theater, I was in Mexico. I had packed up my whole life. I had brought my son there. My son at that time was 2, and everyone thought I was crazy. And I was like, nope, I'm going to Mexico. And I went there, and I knew it was because I had to heal. I had to listen. I had to get quiet. And it was one of those things where I knew God was like, I need to get her away from everything. And I was there, and I thought this was my life. I was like, okay, I'm working from here. That's fine. And then one morning, it was very clear as I was in my meditation, God said to me, you got to move. And I was like, no, we're not moving now. We're not moving again. Wait, we're not moving again.
You're like, we just did this. We just did this.
Right? We just did this. We're not doing another international move. We just got here, God. And I'm just settling in. And God was like, nope, you're going to move to Atlanta. And I was like, Atlanta? No, not Atlanta. And it was like, move to Atlanta. And you're going to do a theater. And I was like, a theater? No, God, no. I was like, and then I was just like, okay, I'm going to wait. And then I kept saying, am I sure this is what I'm supposed to do? And I was like, God, I need a sign. I need a sign. I need a sign. And I kid you not, Lisa, that morning I was like, I need a clear sign. And in Mexico, there's these little bikes that people ride around and you get on the back, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of this little portable bike. And I was in one of those. I got in one of those and I had Kai beside me. And the guy said to me, are you American? And I said, yeah. And he was like, oh, I need you to marry me because my best friend, he moved 5 years ago to Atlanta and I want to move to Atlanta. I kid you not. I kid you not. Wow. And I just looked up and I said, okay, God.
Okay, got it.
Got
Talk
it.
about divine guidance and divine alignment, right?
Yes. And you've got to listen. And when you're not clear, say to God, give me a sign.
Yes.
Give me a clear sign.
Yes.
And get quiet and listen. And you will know exactly what you're supposed to do. And I will tell you, Lisa, there was some shame in that for me because I had done all of this social media about, I'm living my best life now in Mexico, soft life this, soft. And I packed and I sold my house. I did all kinds of things to move. And then I was like, oh, well, I got to come back now.
Right. That's the thing. It's like we often, all of us, not all of us, but many of us live with an invisible peanut gallery around us that we assume. It's like, you know, those characters, the 2 old men on Sesame Street from way back. I know I'm aging myself, but you know what I mean?
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
That just sit down and criticize everybody and everything. And so we live our lives with a peanut gallery filled with people like that, invisible, imaginary people that we think are looking at us hard. First of all, no, they're not looking at you that hard.
Nobody cares. Nobody. Yeah.
They're not. And that we think are just there to basically, I learned a new phrase, pour some yuck on our yum. You know, like right? I'm trying to remember where I heard it, but I'm like, okay, I get that phrase. People who just are there to just rain on your parade.
Yes.
But when you think about it, all those imaginary people are imaginary people in your head. They're not real. What they're saying is not real. The thoughts are not facts. They're just thoughts. They can be changed. And what if you create your own peanut gallery of positive, affirming people?
Yes.
You're like, yes, girl, go and do it. You know what, girl? Call this person. They'll help you. You know, etc., etc. But so it also takes work to try not to be our own worst enemy, to be honest.
Yes. And be okay to pivot.
Yeah.
It's okay to say that, because I remember even when I was leaving for Mexico, everyone said to me, oh, you're going to take a 2-year-old to Mexico. You don't even speak the language. You're going to go. What if you don't like it? And I said to people, you guys are acting as if when I get on the plane, that America and Canada is just going to blow up and that I could never come back. Right?
Right.
I said I could come back if I don't like it. I can come
Planes
back.
work in the other direction.
Right? But it's that fear that people put fear into you and you start going, oh my gosh, right? And you can pivot at any moment. I think the one thing that has served me most of my life is I have never been scared to leave. I will leave the job. I will leave the relationship. I will leave a country, right? I will leave a friendship. I will leave when I feel my time is done. And if God tells me this is time to leave, I'm leaving.
You're gone. You're
right?
gone.
I'm gone. And that's the only person who I get into communication with. And if God, or I say to God, if I'm not supposed to be in this, remove it. God's like, there you go. And that's it. And I believe all of us can have that relationship, but we got to quiet the noise so God can get in to speak to us and tell us what's next.
Amen to that. Because we have to what? Be still.
Be
and
still.
Know that I am God. But the be still part.
It's the be still, right?
That's how you have to start, by being still.
Still. Yeah.
By being quiet.
Exactly.
And so listen, we have talked about, like, authenticity, abundance, alignment, you were talking about just now. But I want to talk about vulnerability, because you mentioned just now that, you will leave, the job, the country, the relationship. And I know in your book, right, Black Girl in Love with Yourself, it kind of like starts with, I don't want to...
Me being left. You being left.
You being left. I mean, kind of the other way around with you being left. But I admired that you wrote about it. Right? Yeah. You were vulnerable and you were transparent in a way that I truly, truly admire. And as I've told you before, your book really helped get me through a tough situation.
Yes.
And also as a writer, I was like, well, if Trey can write about this stuff, I can write about my stuff. I really like you sort of unknowingly coached me, as I was writing and stuff. But what myths do you think about vulnerability exist around Black women, and what myths hinder us from being able to love ourselves fully? And I'm thinking about like the strong Black woman trope, and all of that. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I think it's just the level of shame with so many. I think so many of us grew up in a culture, right? Of parents of like, we don't air our dirty laundry. We don't.
Yes.
Like I remember, like anytime we used to say anything, like my grandma's like, "Don't talk your business," right? Shut up, right? Not everybody needs to know everything,
Right.
This whole thing of like, you keep everything in, right? And even in my book, I talk about my own discovery around finding out that I was dealing with depression and living with functional depression.
Yes.
And I didn't know for many years that what I actually had was depression, right? And I wanted to remove that stigma. And I talk about it in the book, where one of my friends who was going through a crisis, and at that time, I hadn't gone public about taking antidepressants, hadn't talked about just some of the darkness that had overcome me, in certain moments of my life. And it was only through God that I was here, that really just saved me, because there were just some moments where it became too much depression, right?
Yes.
And I remember when my friend turned to me and said, "But you, Trey Anthony, you got it together. You're this, you're that." And I said, "Yeah, I'm this, I'm that. I got it together, but I also have depression." Yeah. And I put it in the book. And I wanted to remove that stigma. And I wanted women to know that it's okay to get help. It's okay to be, quote unquote, a superwoman and still take antidepressants. It's okay to say it feels heavy. Even in this journey of creating this theater, and I'm building this theater from scratch, right? And renovating it and doing all these things. And my sister called me up and she said, "Hey, you're doing a lot. Slow down." She said, "Are you sleeping? Are you taking your vitamins?" She goes, "Are you resting?" And she goes, "Remember, you have depression. And when you do too much, what happens? You fall into a deeper, darker place." And I had to heed that. And she was right. And you got to have people around you to remind you to slow down. You got to have people around you who could see some of the signs. Sometimes my family will call me, and my mom will look at me and go, "You're doing a lot, And I know that's her way of saying, make sure you're taking care of your mental health, right? And her way of saying, or my mom will say, "You can't handle the stress," right? And that's her way.
She sound like my mother.
Right? So your little head don't good already, right? All of those kind of things, right? To be like, slow down. And I agree with acknowledging that, and I have to really accept that. I'm also going through menopause right now, right? So add menopause, add a 5-year-old, add functional depression. My ass needs to slow down sometimes, right? And I think it's okay for us as women to say, I don't have to do everything at the same speed every single day, And I'm a person now who gets up at 5 a.m. and I meditate. I take that time for myself. I get up and I do my Peloton. I take my antidepressants every morning. There's things that I do that I know this is my wellness, and this is how I slow down. And this is how I take care of myself, and be vulnerable about that. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in saying that I'm a person who lives with depression. And I then have to be very careful about what I take on. And I want to remove that stigma, because even in my book, I talk about it, how growing up, I remember there were times in my grandmother's life when I would go into her room as a little girl, and my grandmother had the covers over her head, and she'd be like, I'm fed up. And for 5 or 6 days, she would not come out of bed. And my job was to bring her tea. And we always go, Grandma wasn't well. And then all of a sudden she was up, and it was like a light had come on.
Light switch had come on. Yeah.
And I truly believe that my grandmother had bipolar. I truly believe, but it just was not diagnosed. And she didn't have, the support system around her. And there was that stigma. And so for me, it's about saying to Black women, if you're not well, you have to really be intentional about your wellness. You got to be intentional about slowing down. You got to be intentional about going to therapy. You got to be intentional about getting your massages. You got to be intentional about taking rest. You got to be intentional. For me, some of my best days are just sitting there watching Love is Blind. I'm slowing down. I'm going to watch some reality TV, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Addicted.
The world isn't going to fall apart if you don't take some minutes for yourself. And that is what I have realized about me. The only way I'm going to do this second half is about pacing myself and knowing that my wellness is something that has to be a priority.
Wow. That is, you packed so much in there. And it is beautiful because, and first of all, I want to add and say, since we are on this topic, I am also a Black woman in my mid-50s with depression, on antidepressants, going through menopause, etc., right? And this is what the two women that you're looking at now and that you're listening to now, this is what that looks like.
Yes.
So yes, Trey has written the books and the plays and is building a theater and has all the awards and the accolades, and she has depression.
Yeah.
Right? And I have done all the stuff that I have done and written my book and done all the things, and I have a 9-to-5 and 5,000 side hustles, and I have depression. Right? Yes. So don't necessarily, depression does not always look, I mean, people who know what to look for can see it.
Yes.
But it does not necessarily always look like somebody walking with a dark cloud over their head constantly.
Yes.
Right? Like you mentioned, Trey, and I'm glad that you mentioned this, your people know what to look for.
Yes.
And know when to tell you, hey, sis, you need to slow down.
Yes.
A good girlfriend of mine told me that the other day. I was I'm preparing for some like big medical stuff. I'm going to have surgery shortly. And I was like, I caught myself scrambling to get all the things done. And my friend Alexis, my friend Alexis said, Lise, do you need to do it all? Do you need to do it all at this intensity? Do you need to do it all in this level of priority? Is there anything that you can just not do? Is there anything you can reassign to someone else? And it really helped me because I think probably because I was slightly I wouldn't say panicked, but it's you've been through
Yes.
stuff, so
Hmm.
it's surgery, and there's a little undercurrent of
Hmm.
concern, I would say, right?
Yes.
So you have that undercurrent of concern, and you have all these things to get done, and you just go into auto drive, right?
Yes.
And I'm so happy that she said, Lise, you can't do it all. You
Hmm.
shouldn't do it all, and you need to slow down and do
Yeah.
less,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Because even people like you and I who know this,
Hmm.
whose work is about this,
Yes.
sometimes need that reminder because we are human. And
Yes.
so that is the way of things, the ebbs and the flows. But
Yes,
that's
it's
so
so
important.
true, Lisa. And so I sometimes make the joke that I sometimes have to go, I pick up my own book and I read some of my chapters and I'm like, oh, she's got a point.
Right?
I love this, what she
Yes.
wrote. Because you got to remind yourself
You
of
have
what
to.
you have said
Yes.
is like the reminders to other women. You yourself have to remind yourself, oh, yeah, remember I said this is a Black girl in love with herself. This is what I need to be doing, right?
Yes.
This is how I need to exhale, all of those things, right? Creating spaces for yourself to exhale because we
Absolutely.
need reminders. Like you said in the beginning when we talked, and I thought it was so beautiful where you said, this is a practice, not perfection. Am I quoting you
Yes. This is
properly?
a practice, not a perfect.
Yeah, not a perfect. And we
Yeah.
got to remind ourselves of the practice sometimes,
Yes. Yeah.
really and truly. Yeah. Because we're not perfect,
We're not perfect. We're
We're
not
not
perfect. And there will be ebbs and flows. And we will, they say in the church, they call it backsliding in the church, which is a bit severe.
backsliding.
But we saw it in life, we're not always going to hit that perfect 10, nail the landing, right?
Yeah.
And hit a perfect 10. Sometimes we're going to get a solid 7.
Yes.
And that has to be okay. And, that's all right. That is all right.
Exactly.
So I
Exactly.
want to talk a little bit. We haven't talked much about us as Caribbean women. And
That's a
but
whole
is,
other
is this
podcast.
is this a whole other show? You're gonna have to come back next season. So in 2.5 minutes.
Yes.
But yes, I feel like if for us there's an additional layer of complexity and difficulty because of how we are raised in the Caribbean.
Hmm. Hmm.
If you, I know it is hard. Can you speak to that just a little bit for a minute?
Yeah.
Like, what has your experience been in terms of like expectations placed on you and things
Yes.
of that nature? Yeah.
I think it's that, some of my American friends always joke to me and they were like, you are doing like 6 million jobs, right? Like, and so it's that whole thing of like, how many jobs can a Caribbean person have, a Jamaican person have? We always have like 10 million jobs. And that
Yes.
is the truth, right? Like there's
Yeah.
my friends always say, if Trey can make a job out of anything, right? And I'm always like, you could do that as another job, right? That could be another passive income for you, another stream.
Right.
And it's also this thing of, and I know I can only speak for my Jamaican mother, my Jamaican grandmother, but I shared this story a lot too, right? Where after I was the first Black woman in Canada to have my own TV show. I had a play that had toured all over the world and got an NAACP awards, grossed over $8 million, like all of these things. And we were at my sister's graduation because I had dropped out of university to pursue my dream of acting.
Right.
And thank you. The kink of my, you're so good, Lisa. I tell you, you're just flawless all the time.
Thank
Right?
you.
I just talk about it and then she's like, oh, there you go.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot.
Right. And I was at my sister's graduation after feeling I'm a success, right? And I had dropped out of university to pursue my dream of acting, to the dismay of my family, out of law school. I was, on my way to law school. And at my sister's graduation, and at this time, my sister hadn't even done her PhD yet. She had, I should say she just had, but we were at her graduation for her master's.
Right.
And my grandmother turned around as we were clapping, and she turned around and she said to me, I just want to know when you're going to do something with your life. And I was like, pardon?
God.
Right? And she said, like get an education. You cannot be prancing around on TV and on stage all your life. You need an education. And that, I think, is the level of complexity sometimes where
Yes. Yes.
I feel that's the voice in my head, that I haven't done enough, that I'm not good enough. And I have to quiet that voice and sometimes sit and remember who I am, right? And I
Mhm.
feel sometimes there's not that level of praise and pride. I feel
Yes.
that as Caribbean families, and it does keep us humble, but I also
Girl,
feel
too humble.
too humble that we need it, right? That we need someone to pick us up sometimes and
Yes.
say, like, you have done this, you're amazing. It's so funny. I just came back from a meeting with the one of the artists at the theater who's doing all of the murals. And I had some plaques and stuff. And I said to her, plaques that I had done of all of the shows that I had produced.
Right.
And I was like, oh, yeah. And I want to put this here and I want to put that there. And I want to put all my plaques and things that I've done in the bathroom. And she said, pardon?
In the where?
That's what she said. And Lisa, I didn't even think. And I said, well, I don't want people to think that I'm bragging, but I want to put them up somewhere. And she said, you are opening your own theater. And you
Yes.
have decided that all of the work and the awards that you have won, you are going to put in your bathroom of the theater. And I was shocked. And she said, like, come on now.
Yeah.
Out of this whole space, you thought
That's the one place
your
because you wanted it in
position.
the tiniest,
Yeah,
smallest, most shut away. So you're saying it, but not really.
we're not really saying it. And
You
she said,
know?
hell no. She
Wow.
said, we're going to put this wall right here that when
Yeah.
people come in, they can see all of the shit that you have done. And you
Yes.
need to be proud of that and big up yourself. And
Yeah.
I think that's the thing where I feel, and I love that about myself, where my family's always kept me humble, right?
Mhm.
And I've never really been like, oh, she's a big deal or not. But I do feel I need sometimes that reminder. And you need to have people around you who can remind you of that and saying, this isn't your time to play small. You don't need to put your plaques and your awards in a damn bathroom.
I
Right?
don't even know
This
what to
happened to
say
me. This just
because
happened to me today. Today.
oh my gosh, isn't that amazing? That's
Yeah.
what people don't realize, right? Is that the voices from our childhood
Yeah.
live on
All the time. Yeah.
all the time. I'm trying to think now. I don't have up any like I just have like regular like degrees or whatever. But I'm like I don't think I have them up at all.
And even
Actually,
just as you said that, I just have regular stuff degrees. Girl, what do you mean regular stuff degrees? Just
well,
how many word is that?
exactly. You see, well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? Grow in the family that I grew up in.
Yeah.
Now, bear in mind, my father has a doctorate and is a professor emeritus.
Yeah.
My sister has 2 masters.
Yeah.
My mother has her bachelor's, etc., etc., etc. Right? Everybody that I know, basically that I went to school with,
Yeah.
is a big noise in some form or fashion.
Yes.
So that's also another part of it. Like in my school group, right? And this is not to say I haven't done anything good, but everybody has done
Yeah.
big things,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
right? Everybody has done big things, and so that is something else that keeps you humble. It's not like you are
Yes.
the one
Yes.
shining star,
Yes.
right?
There's an
Everybody's a shining
expectation.
star
Yes. In the Caribbean, you
in the
have to do
Caribbean.
big things. Yes.
Everybody, I happened to go to what was at the time, considered the best high school for it was a girls' school when I started, then it went co-ed. So it was the best girls' school. And it's everybody was bright. It's not that I wasn't bright,
Yes.
but it's not like you're one of, I don't know, 10 amazing people at your primary school. No, everybody in there is operating at that level.
Yes.
So you're special, but you're not.
You're not. You're special, but you're not. I think that is the tagline of every Caribbean parent. You're special, but you're not.
You're special, but you're not. Exactly. So, oh, child, that is it. Anyway, my dear, I know that we have gone a little bit over time. Thanks for
Yes.
staying with me and thanks for being here. The one last question I have for you is
Yes.
today specifically,
Mm-hmm.
how are you planning to get some space to exhale?
My plan is I just went and I text my masseuse and I was like, I'm coming in for a massage because I'm getting a lot of lower back pain. And I know that is manifesting whenever I feel like I'm not being supported enough. My lower back always starts acting up.
Yep. Yep.
So I was like, okay, what is this?
That's the abundance. That's the abundance part of your
Yes.
body. Yep.
Yes, right. And I also know, because I'm also fretting about money right now, because every dime feels like it's going into the theater. So I'm
Yeah.
like, nope, we gotta do our abundance prayer. I also gotta get some support and take care of myself. So that is one of the ways I take care of myself, and slowing down and just being like, you know what, maybe today is a day where you watch 2 episodes of Love is Blind and all is well. Right? You don't have to live at the theater every single minute, and you slow down. It's also about, this morning I made my protein shake and I had it. I've been listening to a wonderful book, and I listen to that. Any books that I love, like I make sure I put on Audible. And as I'm going back and forth of dropping and picking up my son, that's another whole other podcast around the drop-offs and pickups of kids.
Right.
Right.
The whole nother life.
That I take care of myself and do things where I create spaces and pockets for myself. And I would say that to every woman. Even some people always say to me, why do you get up at 5? And I said, because that is the hour where I feel the only person who benefits from that hour is me. Amen. That I'm not somebody's mother, I'm not somebody's daughter, I'm not somebody's employee, I'm not Trey doing the theater. I'm just taking care of me. Yeah. And I think you got to find those pockets of where nobody benefits from this moment except you.
I love that. I love that. And on that note, thank you again for
thank you so much, Lisa.
being here. Oh my God, this is absolutely wonderful. And good to speak to somebody with a Jamaican accent, which I don't get to do very much. So thank you so much. And folks, that is it for today. So thanks for joining Trey and me on Space to Exhale, the podcast. And make sure you tune in every Tuesday. It's on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, and catch the vibes. Okay. And if you can't make the live show, that's okay. Subscribe on Spotify and YouTube to catch the replay. If you want to dive deeper into what Trey and I discussed today, that's very easy. Make sure you get a copy of Trey's book. I've had it up on screen, right? It's called Black Girl in Love with Herself. So make sure you do that. Follow Trey on all the places. Go to treyanthony.com. And also, of course, get a copy of my book, Space to Exhale, which is available on Amazon and all major book sellers. So that's it, folks. Goodbye for now. And remember, you are worthy of rest. You are worthy of love. And you are worthy of having time and space to exhale. Bye.